Welcome to Be Heard, a new LinkedIn Live series and podcast to promote change-making women. I'm Rachel Morano, co-founder and managing partner of Pivot Point Consulting, a Vaco company. Be Heard is a powerful platform for leaders and aspiring leaders across all industries. Amy Vaughan, CEO of Together Digital, is here today to tell her story with us. Together Digital is an organization dedicated to women supporting women who work in digital or digital adjacent fields and focuses on women's equality and inclusion. We started Together Digital's Cincinnati chapter while working as a creative director and later moved into a leadership role. Together Digital is celebrating its 5-year anniversary in 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to Be Heard, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So glad to have you. So I'll ask 7 questions over the next 19 minutes to discuss Amy's story. This is a big year, a very big moment for women in history with the very first female vice president.
Yeah.
So the 19 minutes celebrates the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote, which we're really excited about exploring today. So let's get started, Amy.
Great. I'm ready.
All right. So tell us about your path. Mm-hmm. Our first question, want to just dig into this concept and really understand, during what transition did you learn and grow the most and why?
Yeah. Well, I think after 10 years of working for billion-dollar brands and a number of digital agencies, you experience a lot, but the most impactful personally and professionally for me was becoming a mom. Ambition and parenthood often create a lot of tension, especially for women. And it seems like we might have to choose one or the other. On top of that, I don't really feel that corporate systems are conducive to that life change, specifically for moms or for dads at times. But it's a thing that I like to believe is changing. So being a mom, for me, it was a constant reminder that my legacy and my identity are more than just my job. So when I'm a high-performing creative director at an agency working 70 hours a week, obviously your priorities shift and change once you become a parent. And while most moms get perceived as sort of less effective or less productive, I also learned how to focus and use my time more intentionally, which is something I'd never really done before. So if anything, I think becoming a mom made me not just more productive, but more purposeful. And for that, I'm truly grateful.
That's a great answer. As a mom myself, I can definitely relate. So appreciate that. Let's move on. So tell us a story that made the biggest difference in your life. What story was that?
Outside of my children, absolutely, because they just disrupt everything. God love them. Is finding Together Digital, or I should say them finding me. I would, like you mentioned earlier, I was a creative director. And at the time, I was one of only 3% of creative directors were 3% of creative directors were female in agencies. And so becoming a mom while being a female creative director at that time was definitely isolating. So, my network kind of was contained to those 4 walls of that agency, or even more so the 4 walls of my team's cubicle.
Yeah.
Because we were always so heads down and focused on our work, the next big idea, the next big client. But finding my community and a network gave me confidence. It gave me speaking opportunities. It gave me leadership experience as I built and established a board for our Cincinnati chapter. It also helped me to build my own personal brand and reputation. And it gave me what I truly needed more on a personal level was more positive and meaningful relationships, especially with women, but then also the courage to talk to my fellow coworkers who are male and allies to help them understand where things are different or how things are being different for me from an experience standpoint. And most importantly, this opportunity, before I was CEO, I was a founding member and a volunteer for several years. Even though I'm a creative by trade, I've been entrepreneurial since I was 8 years old. I was always starting businesses and starting clubs. Ironically, I love creating clubs that made everybody feel included. And it took our founder, Elena, seeing the potential in me and saying, where a lot of other companies I'd worked for were creatives can't run companies. You can't be operational. This opportunity that she bestowed upon me and that our members support and encourage me in, which is absolutely completely needed in some days, especially amidst the pandemic. It has really given me the opportunity to leverage all of my gifts and make a living at what I love to do, which is to help others.
And isn't that the goal? That is the goal. So congratulations to you. It's an interesting story and journey for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and I've heard you say before when we've spoken
Mhm.
that true success is living your truth.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me. So, how do you truly define success for yourself with that in mind?
This is a great question. We've been
Yeah.
hitting this question a lot. I do a lot of sitting and listening, not just with myself, but with our members, one-on-one, quite honestly, because with so much going on in the world, everybody's a little bit more reflective than usual. But I think it has everything to do with our values. If you're not in alignment with what your values are, you're going to fall down. You're not going to feel fulfilled. You're not going to feel accomplished. It doesn't matter how much money you get, what title you get. Take this from a person who hit the salary she wanted and got the salary she wanted. I wasn't happy when I got there. Hedonic adaptation is like the ceiling that we keep hitting our heads on until when we really just need to sit down and be still and listen. And so we've been working through and creating a values-based goal setting workshop, and we're actually doing it this Saturday. So there's, I don't know if we can get the link shared in the comments, but I
Yeah,
shared.
absolutely.
You can also check out our website and our events calendar, but we're doing a value-based goal setting exercise. It's a 4-hour workshop, and it really just helps you to define like what your values are and what your goals need to be, because everyone has to make ends meet. So if your job isn't what's fulfilling you, find what does and make room for it. Things like a value-based goal setting workshop allows you to create goals and set aside time to make room so that you feel accomplished in more lasting ways, and not just like the work that you do, but the life that you live. And I think that is the definition of true success, is living your truth.
Absolutely. Very inspirational. No, I could not agree more. And we will make sure we get that link
Great.
sent out after this.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So thank you.
Yeah.
So, we all understand that being a good person does not equal necessarily being a perfect person, right?
Mhm.
But I think a lot of us try to achieve that and push towards it, maybe more than we should. But what does that mean to you
Mhm.
specifically?
Yeah, this is something that I have been kind of a little bit of a mantra in my mind in this
Yeah.
last year, is to really just show myself and others grace. Like most women, I am absolutely my own most worst critic. From everything that I have seen from youth into adulthood, as a career person, and now as a mom, seeing my daughter interact in society with other girls, women are harder on other women as well. I was looking up some stats to kind of, because I always like to bring those kinds of things to these sorts of conversations. But in 2021, a report from the American Management Association declared that 95% of women have been tormented by other women during their careers. We hear this and see this all the time. Even within our organization, we have women that come to us and say, I'm experiencing this, help.
Yeah.
And in fact, female workplace bullies, 68% of them target other women, or sorry, they target women 68% of the time. So there's often this like conflicting idea that perfect equals good, or that good equals perfect, and neither is true. So I think in like the current climate of like, and then this wave of feminism in particular, there's a lot of virtue signaling, and I think that that too can be a hindrance. The idea that whoever's the most woke, in my mind, is more of a projection of our guilt and shame. Whereas if we're behaving in a more enlightened way, it honors and shows grace to our desire to simply to be better, but not better than. So that's what I mean when I'm thinking or saying to myself, I don't have to be perfect to be a good person. I'm showing up, I'm doing my best, because the last thing that we need is to kind of place perfection over progress and how we show up for each other. So as I'm kind of working through, keeping this community going and growing and being effective and really impacting women's lives, I just feel like that's such a big, important message for the women that are listening to hear.
Absolutely. And especially after 2020 and all that we've been through. It
Yeah.
could not be a more powerful message, I think. So yeah, appreciate that. Okay, well, my next question's a little different.
Uh-huh.
You've obviously seen a lot of success in your career and you've grown through that process. What is a game changer lesson that you'd want to share with the audience, that you've learned over the course of your career and your development?
Mm-hmm. A game changing one, I think this last year, especially, I mean, I don't know. If anything, we had a lot to learn from 2020.
Yeah.
But I think really the key to success is rest and reflection. It seems silly in this time to slow down versus speed up. And I used to think that go, go, go was like the only way to make it to the top. But quite honestly, taking over an organization just months prior to a pandemic, an organization that thrived on in-person meetings, and navigating the kind of political and socioeconomic perils of our members this year, I realized that if I want to create a more inclusive and safe space for others, it requires making some peace with myself first. I've been reading this wonderful book called The Body Is Not an Apology. I highly recommend it for any and all humans. It's by Sonia Renee Taylor. And I pulled a quote from that kind of relates to this, that radical self-love is about the self because the self is a part of the whole. And therefore, radical self-love is the foundation of radical human love. The game changer for me is that if I am not taking care of myself, I can't take care of others. I can't show up for others in the way that I need to as a leader, as a mom, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend. And that's a lot to show up for. All the more reasons to take rest and reflection very seriously. So those two things, those have been the game changer for me. Those have kept me safe, sane, more productive, and more inspiring to the women that I'm trying to help.
Safe, sane, more productive. I think that is definitely the goal, right?
All right.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll have to definitely share that link for that book too. I'm always looking for some new reading materials. Thank you.
Oh, it's so good. It's so much.
So, as we wrap up here with a final question, this has been great, Amy. Your personality, the energy, the passion, it shines through so much. So excited to learn more about your organization and all that you're doing in your career and how you're continuing to make change and opportunity here for women with this organization. But wanted to wrap up with something a little fun to finish up. And final question, what is your favorite word and why?
Yeah, I gave this a lot of thought. I like words. I like them a lot. I'm a writer by trade.
Okay.
Sure. But right now it really is together. It's the only way forward. I love what happens when people come together and kind of do a lot of what I talked about earlier, setting those things aside, their pride, the projection, just being open, being ready and willing to learn from each other, grow from each other. I just think that's the best way to get around and out of what a lot of us are going through and feeling, because it's so varied across the board. And I honestly would not have gotten here. And none of my success is due to solely myself. I can't take all the credit, and I would never take all the credit. It absolutely has to do with every single person that has reached out to me, given time to me, shown faith in me, given me opportunities, a platform, a space. And so I just want to do that for others. So I know it's kind of corny and it's kind of ironic because we're called together.
That's perfect, actually. But I think it is appropriate for the timing as well. And I think at VACO, our parent company, we say we have this mantra right now: 6 feet apart but closer than ever. Yeah. And that was really impactful for me because I think it's really true. And we've seen so many things that we've never seen before in history, and we've lived in a way that, for Americans especially, really different. And so I think it's important, the togetherness and feeling connected in a virtual capacity. Right. We're learning to change our ways, right?
Yeah,
and to be together.
And I'm just amazed too at how connected we can be despite the distance between our screens. I think that's a beautiful and amazing thing. I think some people, it's Zoom fatigue and all these things. I sometimes just forget. I know that there's another person sitting on the other side of that computer. And so when I sit down with a member and I want to understand what are her goals, what are her passions, what are her desires, I'm getting to know a human. And I think that's so cool. And through these experiences and this last year, despite everything being virtual, literally just sitting in my house doing this all day, which is great. I have met women and connected with women that I can't wait to meet in person. I'm just going to run up and hug them like I've known them forever, because that's what it feels like.
Right.
I think that there's certain barriers about how we spend our time this is all kind of changed. If we choose to change our perception of it, we can make lasting. Hell, if people can get married after meeting online, you can find your next digital BFF online. You can find the woman that helps you get to your next big career opportunity, the woman that helps you start your own company. Those things happen every day within our organization. And then right now it's happening all virtually. So I'm glad that there's things like this as well.
Me too. And we're going to do a whole lot more of this. So hopefully we can have you back as a guest again, Amy, as more things unfold with Together Digital. So thank you so much. In closing, we really want to say thank you to our audience and everyone who tuned in today. We'll be sharing a link to this podcast after the event, and also for those who might want to tune in, To many other oh, there we go. We've got a picture of the book. Perfect. We'll be sharing that link. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And in addition, we'll be sharing a promo code for a discounted founding rate for those that might be interested in becoming a member of the Together digital community. Incredible community. I can't wait to learn more and get involved myself. So thank you so much again, Amy. Tune in for our next Be Heard conversation at the same time on February 9th with Teresa Sparks. She's a board member and audit committee chair at Harrow Health, a board member at Quality Metric and former CFO and EVP at Envision Healthcare. I'm Rachel Morano, and thank you for joining us on Be Heard. Have a great day.